How's it going? Today I'm gonna talk about the Brazilian music played in a trio and what you can understand as a trio. Trio will be the piano, bass, and drums. Um, Let me show you an example of solo piano and show a little bit of the difference. And when I am playing solo, I use my left hand to do the bass line, a little bit of the bass lines of the chords in some situations. I can use my left hand to get lower when the melody is resting, and much more. When you play in a trio, you're gonna have the bassist, and you won't need to do bass lines because there is a musician working on this. So you're gonna gain some freedom in your left hand. And one basic stuff we use to play a Brazilian song with a trio, it's the rootless voices. For example, besides using the notes of G major 7 to make the bass line and a little bit of the chord, I have my left hand all to do chords, so I can use richer harmonies on my left hand because I'm not worried more with the bass. So for example, if I'm gonna play this part, note that the harmony got a little richer because I don't need more to do bass lines. So this is a very interesting opportunity. Another thing about when we play in trio is that the bassist, knowing what harmony you're going to do, he can create some reharmonizations using another bass notes. For example, if I play this G major 7 and my bassist plays 1E, my chord will gonna sound like a E minor 7th with 9 without the third. So and he or she can take advantage of this, and there is a lot of freedom that you can find when you know the possible reharmonizations between the different bass lines. So this is a very interesting thing about the possibility of having one musician working just on the bass. About the drums is the same thing, because the drummer we're gonna have a function of giving rhythm, giving stability, but this drummer can create some rhythmical situations that can create interaction with what you are playing, or sometimes he or she is reinforcing some aspects of the song you are playing. Let's talk a little bit more in another examples. So just so you know, the first resource I would recommend you to learn, to study, to play in trios is the rootless voicings to use on the left hand. This is the basic, and there is something very important about this, because a lot of pianists just use this to play in trios. So they sound very very simple and missing something when they just use it. All right, take care to not think that this is the only this is the only resource you have to play in trio. But let's talk a little bit more about this rootless voices in Brazilian music. One important thing you have to know about the rootless voices is when you play some different styles, you have to know their patterns. So, for example, if you are playing a bossa nova, you're gonna use the João Gilberto. People call him Gilberto, but it's Gilberto. His beat that he created on guitar. So the João Gilberto create this beat, and we can imitate it on the left hand. This is like I've told you, is the basic. If you're gonna play some baião, for example, you can use, for example, the upbeat to create some swing using the rootless voicings, or for example, you can do the pattern that's played by the clave of the baião. So it's very important that you understand the style you are playing in Brazilian music, to know what patterns you can use. In Brazilian music, it's a little bit different of the use of these rootless voicings in jazz, because in Brazilian music we have some patterns, some rhythmic patterns, and they are very strong, differently of the jazz that when you improvise. These are patterns that we use, but we are using just to fill the rests. And in Brazilian music, you are much more, this function of the rootless voicings in Brazilian music is much more rhythmic. So pay attention in in Brazilian musicians, and how do they use this resource, because it will be a little bit different in jazz. In jazz, I see some people playing bossa nova, but they forget to use this in this strong rhythmic function. All right. Another thing that we can do with the rootless voicings is to use to reinforce some melodies. So, for example, you are doing. So I'm using a behavior of doing the João Gilberto's groove, but then sometimes I reinforce the melody. And you can use sometimes also, if you want in some section, to play with more space. Can be very interesting because you can do talking, a kind of talking between the two hands when you're improvising. For example, I'm using the left hand to respond my right hand. And you can mixture them all. For example, the internet returned. I'm sorry. Let me try to show you the example of the different uses of the left hand join. So for example, in this case I've used comping during groove. Sometimes I use during some reinforces. And other situation I changed a little bit of the melody, but I did an answer of the left hand. We can do this with much more freedom when we are improvising. So, for example, and so it goes. You can create a lot of different situations, mixturing them. But many people think that this is the only resource to play in trills, and this can be the sound of your playing can start to be a little thin. It's a weak piano because it doesn't have a harmony mass. So, for example, in some situations, when I have the opportunity, I use more notes of the upper structure of the chord. The bassist playing so you note how the sounds got bigger. So this can be very interesting when you complete the left hand. You have a more space, or you have a slower Brazilian theme that you can apply more chords in both hands. You can create some strong piano. Another thing that I think that I don't see many students doing, it's use lower voices, and sometimes with the root you can, depending on the bassist, sometimes you can play the root together with him, because you know he or she is going to play. There is one situation when the bassist does a lot of reharmonization. I take more care and I try to avoid this lower note. But you can have here in this situation more strongness using this voicings with the bass. I'm sometimes using just and nothing wrong with that if the bassist is playing the same to you, because you are using the same note in a rhythmic way. Alright, so it's possible, yes, to use the some bass notes. Just take care, alright? Be careful not trying to create bass lines without the bassist. This is the problem. And other problem that I've told you, it's when the bassist likes to improvise reharmonizations. So it's better to avoid the to avoid the bass notes. All right. What can we use? Another thing that's commonly used is block voicings. And here in Brazil, in the other musicians use that common block voicings with the diminished chords. The passing tones, all right, and they apply it very much, but you can apply without. This creates a old style song that I think is very good. And the secret of this kind of sound is to put the melody. To put melody on the top, on the lowest key, lowest octave, on the lower octave, and put harmony inside them. So you have this old style sound, for example. And you don't have to harmonize all the notes, alright? You sometimes repeat the chord and sometimes double the voicing, the melody, alright? That is a common thing that I've seen in music schools, that they don't leave the pianist uses the lower part. And if you are a jazz player, you may also have noticed that Oscar Peterson uses it a lot. And you have a lot of interesting use of it, sometimes to reinforce the bass in some specific counter melody of the bass, sometimes to do some rhythmic intervention that can be short. For example, in samba de uma nota só, or one note samba. So you can do this with the bass, or sometimes you are using rhythmically also. So you are improvising. Using the bass in some moments to as a musical idea, or sometimes with a rhythmic idea, and sometimes I use also to change the bass behavior. When I want in some different section that the bass behaves itself in a specific way. For example, I'm playing the samba. for example, I'm playing Samba de uma nota só. When I do this, this is so strong, and a prepared bassist, we're gonna hear this and try to behave himself or herself in the same way. Alright? So sometimes if you wanna inspire their bassist, or you can use some idea of bass line like this. I was doing this bass line that is common in samba, where you give accent to the second beat of the measure. So this is good for pedal points, for example. I'm playing this. This with a Brazilian bassist, he's gonna start to behave himself with this line, and it's gonna sound very strong because you are playing the piano together with him. So you can use the bass to give ideas of grooves, of different grooves you want in your play. Alright? What could I talk more about? Let's... When I play a song like this, when I'm going to this part, I'm doing harmonized notes. In this part of the piano, I started to use bass notes. Just remembering when I have some bassist doing some reharmonizations, I start not to play these notes, alright, of the bass. So I play in a normal condition. I would play like this with the bass notes, alright. What else can we do on trios? Another thing that I think it's very interesting, sometimes I improvise in this octave also. I don't put so many chords, but I improvise with the bass, because you can create lines. The bass is playing. Careful in the notes that you stop, but this is gonna sound also good. What else could we talk? Let me play, for example, this. Other thing you can do in trio playing with a bassist, even the bassist that changes so much the harmony, you can take advantage of the different qualities of chords. For example, if you are playing a C major 7 and the melody, you don't have the fifth on the melody, you can create some movements. If you know a little bit of harmony, you have some opportunities to change these chords and create some some melodical lines on the harmony. What else we can do in the piano? Let me try to. Other thing that can be important when you're playing trio, it's to comp the bass solo. When the bassist is soloing, you're gonna have the opportunity to make the harmonies, and you can play in a unconstructed way. So you imagine the rhythm being played and try to deconstruct it. And you give more space. So it goes. All right. So what else I could talk about more about your playing trio? I'm gonna invite you to send me some melodies that you would like to see being played in trio groups. So you send me the Brazilian melody that you want, that I'm gonna show my process of studying it and doing it for a trio situation. Alright? So I hope you have enjoyed this live, and I hope you have opened your mind to the different textures that we can use, because I see many students that are ignoring a lot of possibilities in this group, because there are some ideas that many people think about to playing trio. It's just melody and rootless voicing. So I recommend you strongly to hear Brazilian trios and see how they behave. All right. I don't know if I have talked about making some construct some line double playing the bass together with the piano. This is a very interesting sound that you can use in arrangements of, for example, you can do a partido alto. If you play the bass together with a line that's written, wow, this is a very interesting sound that you can explore also. Alright, so that's it, and send me your doubts, and every day I'm here teaching some aspect of the piano playing in Brazilian music. If you want to know a little bit more about this content, follow me on Facebook, Instagram and YouTube, and every day you're gonna have some tips of how to play Brazilian piano in an authentic way. Alright, so thanks for watching, and see you tomorrow for more lives about the Brazilian piano. Bye bye.